affected you and you were helpless against it.
Sort of.
Then what?
Went away.
Went away. I dwell in darkness without you and it went away.
Welcome back to The Average. 2 weeks ago, we were underground dodging pickaxes in Valentine Bluffs, but tonight, we're washing off the coal dust, grabbing our magic acorns, and heading to Tir Asleen.
That's right. We are officially kicking off our Sword and Sorcery Series. Just three movies in this that we're doing. And there was only one place we could possibly start. The 1988 George Lucas and Ron Howard fantasy epic, Willow.
Yes, this film is a staple for anyone who grew up in the 80s, but it's more than just a nostalgic trip. It was a massive swing for George Lucas, who actually conceived the idea back in the 70s, but had to wait for the technology to catch up to his imagination.
And catch up it did. Willow is actually a pioneer in cinema history. It featured the very first instance of digital morphing on film, when Fin Raziel transforms from animal to human. That was the birth of a tech that would eventually give us Terminator 2 and Jurassic Park.
Beyond the tech, there's so much more at heart here. From Warwick Davis's breakout leading role to Val Kilmer at his absolute Mad Mardigan peak, a role he took so seriously that he reportedly stayed in character on set and even met his future wife, Joanne Whaley, during the filming.
But the movie is only part of the story. Tonight, we're doing a deep dive into the official novelization to talk about what didn't make it to the screen. We're talking about the Fish Boy, some of the darker backstories, and some of the extended lore. So much lore, in fact, that there is a trilogy of novels that continues the story of Elora Danan.
All right, and we couldn't embark on this quest alone, of course. We needed a true companion who knows this kind of thing. We are incredibly excited to welcome to the booth, for her first time on The Average, though a legendary veteran of the Dread broadcast, the one and only Kelsi from Kelsi's Nostalgic Life.
Hello! Thanks for having me.
We are excited to have you, to finally have you breaking down a movie with us. And we are incorporating the book aspects because we know you love doing that and do a lot of that. I also love the book stuff, so I'm excited about this.
Yeah, and this is a great book-movie combo to talk about because, as you guys alluded to in your intro, there is so much extra in the book that really adds a lot of cool context that you wouldn't get if you just watched the movie alone. So I think it's a pretty cool experience.
That's true. And we will get into all of that. And so, welcome to the show.
Thank you guys. I'm so hyped, and I even have my special I wanted to show you guys. If you're not watching on YouTube, I apologize because you won't be able to see it. But I got this cool mini VHS of Willow.
What? Ooh,
you open it up, and there's a real freaking VHS inside of it.
That is so cool.
Rad.
I ordered like a replica. It's like a Blockbuster shelf of movies, and you could custom order movies, and of course I had to get Willow because it's a childhood favorite, so that's one of the ones I asked for in my little custom Blockbuster shelf.
I love that.
Sweet.
That is awesome.
Sorry, I had to show off my little
that is cool though. That's a cool thing to show off. Absolutely. So before we let Kelsi loose on the lore, a reminder to everyone watching, this is your show. The link in our bio is live for the official Average scorecard. Submit those reviews and we'll be reading them live as we go.
Actually, I should drop the link into our YouTube chat while I'm thinking about it.
That would be helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be nice. So I'm going to copy that and drop that in the chat right now. And then we can go ahead, and as I do that, we're going to dive into this and start talking about Willow. So we kick off with our, let me see, dropping... There, the scorecard is in the chat.
So I don't know anything about the books, so
that's
going to be new territory for me.
Yes, and I thought that was kind of exciting. Kelsi, which copy of the book do you have? I was trying to grab mine off camera, just like.
This is what it looks like. One of my pages fell out with the movie.
Oh no!
Can you believe it? But anyway, otherwise it's actually in good condition, better than a lot of my other books.
And actually, the same issue.
Yeah.
The crease right where the photos are, because this. I think this was a 80s release of the book.
Yeah, so, it's 1988, and mine's a second printing, so it's still from 1988. So yeah,
I think. Yep, second printing, June 88. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you can definitely tell somebody split that spine checking out the photos, and I was holding it together very carefully. But this is pretty brief. We'll just kind of incorporate as we go category by category. We'll talk a little bit about what is extra in the book that might be missing. So I'm excited about that. It should be fun. Let's go ahead and talk about the story. Jonathan, I want to go last on this. Kelsi, if that's okay.
Uh-huh.
And you or Jonathan want to go first to talk about story?
Kelsi's the lore master here, so I would say let her go first.
Well, the funny thing is, so I'm not a big fantasy person, but when it comes to freaking Willow, I don't know, it's something about it that works. And I don't know if it's just the story itself, because actually after reading the book, you get a lot more context about the story. I didn't even realize really, because it's been a while since I rewatched it. It's been like 2 years, 3 years. It really is a fast-moving story, although the runtime's like 2 hours. It doesn't feel like 2 hours. There are some scenes that it's literally like a minute, and then they do a wipe, and you're in the next scene. So it's kind of funny. I just didn't remember it being like that, just from my memory, even though I've seen this movie countless times. But I do think the story is pretty strong. It's not perfect. If I had to settle on a score like we do here, I would say, I guess, about a 4. I really think the story's better in the book, though, to be honest with you, because it fleshes it out just a little bit more. It gives you a little bit more detail. It's not as rushed. I mean, really, I would round up the story plot to 4. I would probably put it around 3.5.
You are allowed to do that. Let me make sure I have my thing open so we can get math correct. Yeah, Jonathan, do you want to flesh that out a little?
Absolutely. So the movie itself basically breaks down as you've got this evil sorceress empress looking for the child of destiny to destroy them so that they can never be taken down from their powerful position and their crazy bullshit. She's got a daughter who works for some other crazy people. Bad stuff's going on. Then you've got all these different races of people in this epic fantasy world. You've got the Nelwyn. You know, you come across David Warwick as Willow, of course, duh.
Willow! Yes. You remember when the goat, when she becomes the goat?
Oh
she
my
goes,
God.
Willow! Actually, it's when she's turned into a turtle, but anyway, sorry, that's an inside joke. I always say that on my live streams, just out of nowhere. Willow! Go ahead, Jonathan. Nice. Sorry.
But yeah, so you've got the child that is born. Child escapes through the grace of a nursemaid. Baby gets, thrown down the river. Well, not thrown down the river, but pushed down a river since, these crazy looking beast dogs were after him. Willow finds a baby in the river. His kids find it, I should say. And then things just get crazy from there, trying to figure out what to do with this baby. And then finding out that she's this important person who's supposed to save everybody. So they need to get her safely to Tir Asleen. They got to find this good witch, help her out, find a Daikini. They got Mad Mortigan, played by fucking Val Kilmer, who was legendarily awesome, I think, in this role. And just, you've got your whole fantasy story of good and evil and magic and people trying to find the best in themselves. It's an amazing story. And it's not like we haven't seen that before in other sci-fi fantasy films, but I just like this one so much. The way George Lucas wrote this story was fantastic. And when you pair that with Ron Howard, it's such a powerhouse, and they're like one of those ultimate teams, I think, for the 80s when it comes to fantasy film.
Yeah, I think there was I think even more than the story, I know we're going to go and talk about character later and acting later, but I think the characters are kind of special even more than just like the overall story itself. And I think the acting brings it to another level where there's like a lot of sincerity to everything, or it feels like it. That's what I think separates it from other fantasy movies is like the sincerity you feel while watching the story. Yeah, he's so great as Madmartigan.
I want to know,
Sardigan.
Travis, was Sad Sardigan correct, or was that a typo?
I'm like,
It's
what?
pretty
Who's
funny.
Sad Sardigan? Like,
Sardigan.
Is that
funny.
intentionally funny? But all right, guys, I hate to be this person, but I have to Tim pick some elements of this story. I have to, because it does weigh into ultimately my overall enjoyment of the film. I love this movie. I'll get that out of the way early. I love this movie. But the story's not without its flaws. Like Kelsi said, it's not perfect. First of all, it's Star Wars. Willow is Luke Skywalker. Madmartigan is Han Solo. General Kale is Darth Vader. Bavmorda is the Emperor. And even Sorsha is Princess Leia, literally the daughter of the villain. It's all there. It's just like, hey, let's take the similar story. Let's put a baby in it that's super important. Let's put the baby in it and put it in a fantasy world. And so that, like, watching it, I'm like, Madmartigan is Han Solo. And that's where I started to put it. He's the lovable rogue, and he's great. I love him. He's my favorite part of the film. But watching that, and I'm going, yeah, Madmartigan's Han Solo, and then you start to connect all the other little dots of what's going on. But I have some questions on the story side that I need answered. So maybe you guys can answer these for me. Why not just kill the baby the second they see it? Why does Bavmorda need to do some special ceremony to kill the baby? That's never explained.
The spirit of the child. The spirit of the child is part of like what is bad for her. So she wants to banish that spirit through the ritual sacrifice.
So I think I need it explained that just dying in that world doesn't get rid of your spirit.
Correct.
Yeah.
At least that's what's alluded to in the movie. I think the book does spell, or the novelization, it does spell it out a little more clear that you have to diminish. I think the way they phrase it is all that you were. It's like I think they called it an unbecoming. It's like disappearing all that you ever were and ever will be. So it's like it's almost like a form of reincarnation. Like none of your lives happened. That's how I kind of thought of it.
Okay.
Like
that helps. I read the book, but my retention of it, I was on vacation, so my retention of it wasn't super high, but I did enjoy the book. There were some other things, so that makes a little bit more sense. That's just something I wish would have been a little bit clearer explained, because the other question I have is, why continually capture and let Madmartigan and Willow go and not just kill them and run away with the baby?
I think there was one line where, I can't remember if it was in the book or the movie though now. I swear, I think Sorsha says, my mother might need them for the ceremony or need them for something. I don't know. There's a throwaway line. I think it's in the book, but that's the excuse. But is it kind of weak? Yeah.
Yeah. That kind of crushes it for me. That's just like, I'm watching it in that time after the island when they tie them to the wagons. I'm like, why are they bothering with this?
Because she's in love with Madmartigan now.
Well,
his sweetness and ooh.
Yeah, but General Kale's there and he's not. So, but that's one area that I'm like, okay, huh? Another question I have is, why can't Fin Raziel perform magic in the animal form? Why must she be in human form? Because mentally she seems to be all there, even as an animal. So if magic is a distinctly human trait in this world, or a Daikini trait in this world, then Willow should not be able to perform magic.
Maybe it's a humanoid structure kind of thing, because they've got the village sorcerer.
You gotta have fingers.
Where Willow's from, yeah, all that, So.
Well, I mean, in the movie, his hand's always hurting when he's using the wand correctly, so maybe you do need hands. I don't know.
These are just like little things that kind of take me out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I still love this movie. I think it's a fun adventure film,
Yeah, I
fun
have
fantasy
some
film.
nitpicky things too. I kind of am on the same page as you, but not as nitpicky. But yes, I'm like parallel with you. Like there are some things you could kind of say, oh, that's kind of stupid. But I feel like the performances make that go away for me in terms of overall enjoyment. But when we're just talking about this one factor, the story, yeah, there's some weak parts for sure.
Travis says you need thumbs for magic. I think that's kind of what they're going at.
Yeah.
But man, okay, I wrote a list. I'll save some of them for the script. There are, I guess, there are far more leaps made in this film than there was in, say, Star Wars. Like in Star Wars, they showed up at the cantina for a reason. They were looking for something. That's the hive of scum and villainy. That's why we're going there. In this one, Willow just stumbles across a bar in the woods, and Mad Mardigan is also there again. And it's just a lot of happenstance that happens in this story. Like I said, I still enjoy it. It's just like I want reasons for things, and that's something I actually feel like modern movies miss a lot. Like I just watched Jurassic World Rebirth, and I'm like, Rebirth? Yeah. I just watched that, and I'm like, why is that happening? Like there's no setup and then follow through. It's like, boom, this is happening.
Fate by way of prophecy.
Hey, I still okay, and my over prophecy. You brought a prophecy. That this will be my final one for the story. Why does this whole thing? I feel like this movie would be better if the baby escaped, lived in the woods, grew up with the Elwins, was a teenager when Bavmorda finally found it, instead of finding it when it's a baby, because the baby is just constantly there. It's a point for Willow to yell about at Mad Mardigan, why are you driving so fast? Like that's the baby's whole existence in this film. And there are a lot of times that I'm like, it's fantasy, so I let it go. I'm like, okay, the brownies capturing the baby and it not falling out of the wrap. Okay. This is an area actually where the book does a great job of explaining that nature itself in the realm is kind of taking care of this baby. So when they put it in the river at the beginning, the book goes into explanation about how the otters and stuff would dislodge it if it got stuck and help push it down river, and they would watch over it. And like they basically throughout the book are paralleled by animals keeping an eye. I think there was a bear at one point that kind of follows along.
And even like mother animals would give the baby their milk. It would literally approach the group and be like, "Drink me."
Yeah.
Not like that, but Yeah.
So yeah, no, that's it is kind of weird, but hey, it is one of those like I think that element's pretty cool, and the movie totally skips over that. But it helps explain how this baby makes it to these situations, that there is some kind of magical guidance. And the movie kind of misses that. And I almost wish it was there. I do think the sequel trilogy of books takes place later when she is a teenager. And I kind of just think ultimately Bavmorda is hunting this down because the baby is supposed to bring Bavmorda's downfall. And so she hunts it down, gets it, and the baby brings about her downfall. Like it still happens. There was but the baby didn't do anything. The baby just arrived. So the prophecy then, Alora Dannon isn't special. It's Willow and Mad Mardigan, and that cast that's special. The baby is just why they all end up there together.
Well, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like everything, it's like a loop almost. Like she might not be special in she didn't do anything specifically to bring down Bavmorda, but the people surrounding her and the circumstances surrounding her helped bring about the downfall. And so it's just like kind of like a self-fulfilling thing. I don't know. I don't know how else to
No.
explain it, but your criticisms are
works.
definitely valid. I will say, even like the magic system, like in the book. So yes, the book goes into more, but I even think the book is lacking because it says it's like a very basic black and white explanation of why Bavmorda kind of went evil. She wanted more power. That's kind of like a basic explanation for anyone turning evil. And then, like, how does the magic work? And they were like, oh, well, it was a very simple explanation. So even the book didn't really give me what I wanted in terms of the explanation of the magic of the universe. It's not like a
Yeah.
typical, like, highbrow fantasy world.
It does explain, doesn't it explain early in the book that magic does take a toll on its user? Like you mentioned Willow's hands hurting. So performing magic, and if it doesn't, like if you don't get it right, it hurts the person who tried to perform it.
I don't remember that in the book. I do remember them talking about you need to practice, like, well, the two main witches, I guess you could call them, Raziel or whatever, however you pronounce it, and Bavmorda. The big difference between them in the book is that Bavmorda kept going after power and she was an apprentice to different sorcerers, whereas Raziel, however you say her name, she fell in love and was like, I don't care about magic anymore. I don't care about doing anything. I just want to be married and all this stuff. So like that was the big explanation about the good, the evil, and how they learned to be. That's what I remember is basically very simple explanations for things.
I also loved, I saw someone else explain it later. The Fin Raziel Bavmorda dynamic is much better explained in the book, but somebody explained it as basically, I think, two characters from Mean Girls fighting over the same
Yes,
guy.
yes,
And that's
exactly it. Yes,
that's it, and that's why they're like have this ancient grudge against each other. But
She stole my man.
yeah,
I'm gonna turn you into a muskrat. So you'll
Practice
never
magic for
come
2
back.
stags and ban you to an island and make you an animal.
yes,
Yeah.
and then that lady, what is like the fairy? What is her name? Cherilandria.
Cherilandria.
Yeah.
Yes, I think if I'm remembering it correctly, she came to Fin Raziel in the book and was like, "We have to stop Bavmorda." And at that time, Fin Raziel was still friends with Bavmorda, and she's kind of like, just don't worry about it. She's fine, whatever. And they move on. And then later, we find out that clearly Cherilandria was right. So
I think so. When remember the Mean Girl situation,
Yeah.
the fighting over the same guy. So we didn't really fully explain for those who haven't read the book, but so in the book we get the backstory of both of them. Fin Raziel was in love with the king of the Good Castle, the
Tir Asleen.
Tir Asleen, yes. She was in love with I guess the prince at the time. He wasn't king yet. So she was in love with him. She was like, oh yeah, they have this romance. Bavmorda starts to gain power and she's like, I want to swoop in and steal her man and also become like queen in waiting, basically. And so let me just destroy your girl's life. So she did that, but the part that was kind of the fairy Cherilandria was involved in. So once this happens, Fin Raziel is devastated. She's so upset. She goes like crying to Cherilandria, saying like, "What are we gonna do? We need to like stop this." And I think Cherilandria's like, "Yo, we can't. Like, you're too upset right now. You got to come back at a different time. Like, you're coming from emotion. You got to get back to your training. You got a lot to do. It's not all about like your lost love." So that was part of it too. It was like apparently Fin Raziel couldn't do anything until she settled down and like got over the love aspect of everything.
So that whole story is much better at understanding the end of the movie. There's also a scene in the end of the movie that, and remind me to come back to this, Sorsha is much better explained in the book.
Yes.
They do a much better job explaining Sorsha's twist on her mother.
Much better, because it makes hardly any sense in the movie. It's so quick, it's unbelievable in the movie. But in the book, she actually sees what's supposed to be her father frozen, and
Mhm.
she's like, and he speaks to her, he like whispers to her through the ice, like, I love you or something, I can't remember, but basically she's like, oh shit, my mom's a piece of shit. I mean, not in those words, but
Yes.
essentially that's what she's realizing in the book. In the movie, we get none of that. She's just like, oh, Mad Mardigan.
Mad Mardigan.
And nice chest, let's
Mad
go.
Mardigan's got the sauce.
So
Yeah.
that is also a deleted scene. There is, you can find it, but it's one that should have been kept in the movie,
Yes.
because when they go to the castle and there's the people frozen in ice, yes,
Yeah,
frozen,
yeah.
frozen in
funny.
ice like Han Solo.
Another reference.
When they find the people frozen in the ice, one of them is Sorsha's dad, and so there is, if you have the DVD copy of it, it's probably one of the deleted scenes. It is worth seeing, but that also makes sense when you get to where Sorsha meets her mother and she says, "You saw your father." That makes no sense without that scene.
Well, not only that, at the very
have missed
end,
that.
when they're saying goodbye,
It's so quick.
there's a king guy, a random dude with Sorsha and everybody, and it's never explained who he is. That's her dad.
It's the dad. Yes. There are little things. The movie, okay, so I'll say it now. If you enjoy this movie, I do think this novelization is worth the read.
Oh,
There
yeah.
is quite a bit of backstory that is fun. Some of it I don't necessarily care for. Like, we do get, like, I don't think it's super essential, but it does help understand some of the characters a little bit better. I'm trying to think of the soldier, the Nelwyn soldier. He's got
Oh yes. Oz.
he's got a tricky name.
Admar, or yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. He's got a whole side story
Yeah,
about how he tried to find
Vonkar.
Tir Asleen. Yes, Vaknar.
Vonkar.
Vonkar. He tried to find Tir Asleen and went on this whole epic journey, and you get his whole backstory where he barely has any freaking lines in the. Yes, Willow. Cameron knows about Willow that I always go Willow. Anyway, he's got a whole backstory in the book that's not even hinted at in the movie.
That, and I really liked Mad Mardigan's backstory.
Yes!
So there's another connection here in this story that helps the movie make more sense. There's like an implied history between the brownies and Mad Mardigan in the movie.
Yes.
Seems all sad that there's so much missing now that I don't know about.
But it shouldn't affect the enjoyment of the film, I don't think. I think for me, even the things I had questions about, I still read the book and I still had questions about them.
True.
But some of that backstory, it's implied throughout, because Mad Mardigan talks about how much he dislikes the brownies, and they seem to recognize him. In the book, one of the brownies tells Willow all about who Mad Mardigan is, gives Willow his backstory. And so we find out, like, from the age of 13, Mad Mardigan was like learning to be a soldier and be proficient. And he's not just in the movie, he's not just saying, I'm the best swordsman ever. We find out in the book that he is. Like, he genuinely is. It's not
like he trained with like rare people who are like the last master swordsman of their clan and stuff. He like went to great ends to hang out with people in his kingdom that were like expert hunters, expert soldiers, and he was technically semi like royalty. I can't remember how he described his lineage.
He was the son of royal nobility, I think.
Yes, that's what they said.
Yep.
Bad Bard. I love the different changes of the name.
Travis.
Yes, it's Travis.
That's awesome.
For those listening on the podcast, Travis comments, Cal Vilmer lived inside of a cage for 13 months in preparation for this role as Bad Bard again. I didn't even read it as Cal Vilmer at first.
Neither did I.
We'll get into. I can get into more elements of this later. Like,
I gotta get the book now. Like,
I think it would add a lot for you, Jonathan, since you like the movie. I think you'd be like, "Oh, this is so cool."
I'll send a copy to you.
That's how I felt when I read it. I really enjoyed it. It added a lot of extra context. and I'm not trying to be too nitpicky. I mean, I know me and Tim are kind of like, yeah, this is dumb, but no, I love Willow.
Dumb in a good way.
Yeah.
So I never even considered it as like the Star Wars aspect. That never even occurred to me.
That didn't occur to me either. That was kind of mind blowing when you made that comparison. And then in the comments, they're like, yeah, haha, Frozen like Han Solo. I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna never be able to think of this movie again without comparing it to Star Wars.
Sorry, I also, it should be noted, like, I go hardest on things that I love the most. You know, this movie's not perfect by any stretch, and so I'm gonna go hard on it when I can, but that really doesn't affect my enjoyment, and we'll get to the enjoyment factor later.
Yeah.
I said it does earlier, and you'll see why. Like, there's a reason why it's not a perfect 10 for me.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. So let's go ahead. Let's score the story. We got lots more to get into. Let's score the story. So, Kelsi, you said you gave it...
Originally, I gave it a 4, but I'm going to lower it to a 3.5.
Oh.
Okay, I'm adjusting it now. So you're a 3.5.
Correct.
Jonathan?
I'm a 4.
You're a 4. I am a 3. We have... Let's see. This person did not... They did not leave at... So I'm not sure who this is. It looks like Alfred, possibly. They gave it a 3. Rally Reviews gave it a 2.
Oh.
And the Tiny Demon, gave it a 4. So we're all no perfect 5s, no 1s. We're all right there in the middle. Okay, so let's go into the character arc. Let's go, Jonathan, Kelsi, whoever wants to take it over.
Many arcs.
Go ahead, Jonathan. Tell us.
Okay, so you've got Willow. You know, he's this little trickster who wants to be a magician. He wants to be a sorcerer. He thinks he's destined for greatness, but seems to keep failing time and time again. In this journey, he learns to not focus so much on being great, but just doing what's right and being a protector and persevering through all the challenges, and eventually leading up to him becoming a fledgling sorcerer. You know, so there's that justification and everything he's felt and worked so hard for, but seemed to be denied so long. And then just the impact that he's had on saving the kingdom, being a hero, and looking after this child to make sure she lives is like one of the top compelling arcs of the film. And at the same time, though, then you've got Mad Mardigan, who just seemed like at the beginning just some scummy churl in a fucking crow cage who's just destined to die out, dehydrate, starve, whatever, who knows. And then just seems like such a shady butthole. But then, you know, as things go on and he, you know, gets to know more about Willow and spends more time making connections with Lord Dannon and seeing how that it just brings out the best of him, and then how the circumstances finding love with Sorsha, even though through weird magics and crazy stuff and happenstance.
His teeth get
jokes.
Better too.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
His teeth got cleaner. The first thing was like
that's
super
like
gritty.
the biggest arc in the movie, Jonathan, and you're forgetting it. Come on.
His hygiene improved. His dental hygiene got so much better. So cheers to him for that. But him becoming like this super awesome big time hero and proving that he is in fact the greatest swordsman in the land and how badass he is, and just, you know, becoming going from the bottom to being at the top of awesomeness is incredible for him. You know, that's one thing that you just can't ignore. And then of course Fin Raziel, you know, getting out of her banishment, getting back to her human form, being able to do good for the kingdom, you know, that there's that. But then there's so many more. I don't want to hog all of it. I'm sure there's so many different like little angles you can go with it here, but I'll let you go on from there, Kelsi.
My favorite arc is Willow's, because I just think how much he loves this child is so apparent in the performance, especially. I mean, it's there in the book on the written page too, but there's something about Warwick Davis's performance that really brings it across. Like the love he has for his family and for the child, I feel like is one of the best parts of the movie. So I just love his arc about how he's scared, but he continues to persevere. He doubts himself. I mean, that's one of the main points is the head sorcerer of the new ones the Newlands says you need to trust yourself. Like, you know, you're doubting yourself all the time. You could be a great sorcerer, but you're just second guessing yourself all the time. I love how Willow kind of comes into his own throughout the movie and even stands up to this badass, scary ass witch at the end. Even when he thinks he can't like go in, Fin Raziel is like, you don't have to come up. And it's even said in the book I think they described that he's so scared that he wants to go to help save the baby, but he physically cannot move because he is so scared going up the staircase. That's when Fin Raziel's like, you can stay here, it's okay. But he ends up going in there anyway and facing her head on. I just think that's such a great arc. So that's my favorite. Of course, I think Mad Mardigan's arc's great too, but I think it's actually better in the book than in the movie because, again, we know his backstory. And so, spoiler, I gave it a 5 for character arcs, and now I'm like, do I have to lower this too?
No, you don't. You
I
don't.
know.
Go with your
I like
gut.
it.
You're good.
My gut
You're
said 5, so.
Yeah.
All right, so here I come in, Tim picking again.
Oh no! Oh no!
Do it.
But first, I found that passage that I was talking about with magic. It's on page 36. It's so there's far more magic in the book than there is in the movie. We see Willow practice his magic on multiple occasions throughout the book, and I like that. And one of the first times he practices it is when they find the baby. He tries to use magic to disassemble the little raft.
Oh, yeah.
He tries to use magic, and it says, it was a dangerous venture, sorcery. Sometimes if the charms didn't work, they recoiled. Sometimes the reaction was like laying your hands on a hot stove, and sometimes like being struck by lightning. You never knew. Still, if you wanted to be good, you had to take the risk. You had to practice.
Damn.
So that explains why sometimes he's like grabbing his hands after trying the magic.
Right.
Why he's acting like the wand burnt him. It's the way magic works. So I think that is super fascinating in the book. Like you mentioned, I think the book does an excellent job of showing Willow's love for his family. You know far more about his family. It's not essential to the story, but it sympathizes Willow. You feel more for him because you understand that he really is his family man, you know. And I think a little bit of that is missing in the movie. There's also hints that his daughter is magically inclined in the book.
That she has like powers or is psychic. I love that that's hinted at in the book. Love.
Yes. So in the book, she's drawing pictures of things she's never seen. And one of those turns out to be like the devil dog that attacks later. So even though she's never seen that before. So there's little things like that I think are fascinating. But if I'm jumping on the character arc, my biggest problem with these, and I totally agree with what you said, Willow, like really learning to stand up for himself and have some confidence is amazing. I don't like that the High Alwyn tells him to believe in himself some more and believe what he's thinking. I wrote down the exact quote. What does he say?
Don't doubt yourself, or
the High Alwyn tells him he has potential to be a great sorcerer. He just needs to listen to himself. But I can't think of a specific moment where he chose to listen to himself and it resulted in him becoming a better sorcerer. Mm. In the end, he defeats Bavmorda with the same pig illusion that he uses at the beginning.
That was too awesome.
I do think it's cool.
It's impossible!
I do think it's cool, but I think it undercuts what they're trying to do. I think they're trying. Is he trying to become this high sorcerer and great sorcerer, or in the end of the movie, is he like, you know what? I'm confident just being Willow.
Huh? Yeah.
And so that is a question it leaves me with, because either way, I think it's great to have him be confident in who he is, that he doesn't need to be the best sorcerer in the land to be important. I think that's just as good a message as him learning and growing. But there's that gray area of like, okay, well, did he? become a sorcerer because he just used an illusion and it worked. Like, which one is it?
It seems kind of cheap, but still awesome.
Yeah, and he's lying about like, oh, I'm even more powerful than you, and he throws the acorn. I love it. I love it. The book also explains why he only has 2 acorns and not the 3 that was originally given to him, and we'll get to that. The other thing that, again, it's helped in here, Madmartigan's transition to helping Willow is pretty sudden in the book. I want more of him and Willow bonding. I want to see them, like, I feel like they don't really break out of their Nelwyn and Daikini cliches. And they can't get past that with each other. And then all of a sudden they are past that with each other. And I want to see a moment, like there's a beautiful moment when they're sitting by the campfire one night. And it's wasted with Willow being like, I don't need you. And then like the very next scene, he's like, I need you. It's dangerous out here.
Yeah.
I wish that moment was more of like, I have a family at home. You know, I have to protect this world for my kids. And Madmartigan talk like remembering his family and starting to see each other more as individuals and less as you're a peck and you're a Daikini. Like I want that growth in there. And then I feel better about Madmartigan suddenly being all about going on this journey with Willow, because as it stands in the movie, it feels like he's doing it for Sorsha, because he decides he's with Willow when it's Sorsha and his kind of buddy, the
Eric?
blonde guy. Yeah. So it's kind of in that moment that he's like, well, I'm with the peck. You know, that's what he's. I just wish there was a little bit more development shown in the movie.
I think in the movie, I think you can kind of see that he's starting to love the child a little bit, because there's these really cute moments where he's like looking very lovingly at the child. I think she wins him over even before Sorsha gets involved. At least that's my take on it. I wasn't bothered by that as much as you, because I thought they had like a funny, like arguing dynamic. And so I just thought that after a while, it was more of the baby won him over, and so he's going to help Willow with the baby. And it kind of changed him. I don't know. That's how I looked at it.
That makes sense, and I think that's the best version of what happens in the film. I think that works at best. And I know, like I said, I'm being critical. I gave it a 4. I gave it a 4. I think the arcs are good.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, between this being my final enjoyment factor, what I gave it, and being a perfect score, these are the things that kind of stand in the way for me.
Yeah.
Is like, if I were to go, I mean, I read a lot of Brandon Sanderson, so great fantasy stuff. Lord of the Rings, I've read like 8 times, all of them. Like they're my favorite books. They're just so beautifully written. Yeah, wordy. Some people can't get into that, but like, everything has a reason and a moment, and that development, even in some of the modern fantasy like Sanderson. And that is just like those little bits of connective tissue for me that I want to help bind this story and make it that much stronger, instead of kind of feeling like we go from one set piece to the next.
And the movie's really like that with the wipes too. Like, oh, here we're going to this next thing. Here we're going to this
classic
next thing.
Lucasfilm side swipes.
But I will say, now that makes sense why certain things bother you, because it's funny. I'm the opposite way. So I am not a fantasy reader. So I was scared to read this novelization because I was like, I love the movie. Is it just nostalgia? Will it like lose me when it gets into like the fantasy elements? But this is like fantasy light. Now see, that's for you, that is a con. For me, that is a pro, because I don't know if I would like heavy fantasy, like hardcore fantasy. But to me, this just, I guess, having the knowledge of the movie in my head, it was like I was seeing it while I was reading it. So it kind of was like they built off of each other. Whereas you were looking at it, oh, where's this development here? Where almost like I wish this could be a standalone thing, like a fantasy novel that could stand on its own, even if it wasn't a movie. To me, I was never looking at this like that, and I never looked at the movie like that. To me, Willow stands as a favorite for me because it works despite it being fantasy, not because of it being fantasy, if that makes sense. Because I'm not a big fantasy person.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. All right, so I gave mine. I was a 4. Jonathan, what were you?
One last thing before we move on from character, before I score. One other thing that was super awesome as far as any kind of arc goes, verbal cuts, upper fucking comeuppance. Always bagging on Willow from the beginning of the film, like, you owe me some shit. I'm going to take your fucking land. I'm the one in charge. I do what to say. You're a turd, whatever. You're a runs. And at the end, Willow coming back, be like, bust out some magic apple, bitch. Boom, bird. Shit on your face and in your mouth. Take that, verbal cut.
And that doesn't happen in the book.
No.
What? It's not in the book?
But I will say, I think
good addition anyway.
He was nastier in the beginning of the book. I feel like he was almost more comedic in the film than he was in the book.
Got put in his place.
And Sorsha's arc, like we kind of touched on it about finding her father. I think that's better in the book, but it is another good arc of the film. So Jonathan, go ahead, score.
5.
And then Kelsi, you gave yours earlier. You said 5. You can stick with it. You don't have to.
I'm sticking with it.
Stick with it. Okay. I was a 4. We have Alfred gave it a 3. Rally Reviews gave it a 3, and the Tiny Demon also gave it a 4, not a 3. So nice. Not also. Yeah. So all real close, real tight on that one. And I do have Travis's now. Travis gave the character a 4.
Oh, cool.
And he gave the story a 3. So music and sound design. This one we don't usually spend as much time on it, but I think it enhances the movie experience. So, and then, yes, let's do this. I don't know if Dirtfish submitted the score through the link or not, if I'm already reading those, but in the chat, Dirtfish gave it a 5 as well. Perfect. Okay. Music and sound design category. So who wants to take that away?
This is good music. It's good symphonic orchestra stuff as the soundtrack, and it's got a pretty recognizable theme to it. So, I mean, I think that's big, and that's always one of the big things when it comes to music is something that's going to be memorable. You hehear it, and you're like, oh, I know what the hell that is, dude. Mm-hmm. You know, and the high notes from the horns and everything in the theme for the song, it really catches you. It's hard to ignore. I love it.
There is something about 80s movies and their soundtracks that is just infinitely better than most of what's being put out today.
Perfection, honestly. Yeah.
Like Hans Zimmer's Pirates of the Caribbean score for the sequel 2 movies is one of the best scores put to, like, Hans Zimmer kills it. But outside of that, in modern day, like, I don't care for like the droning music that happens in modern day, like in Dune. It's not really hitting it for me. But we go back to the 80s, especially Lucasfilms, Spielberg films, John Williams scores.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Oh yeah, Lord of the Rings score. How could I forget that? This movie has a lot of those, like Jonathan mentioned, the horns, and it feels triumphant and cinematic, and it enhances the film so many times. And it does have that recognizable theme for Willow. I totally agree. It was composed by James Horner. So I don't know what else that guy did. I should probably look that up. But Kelsi?
I love the score. It's one of my favorite parts of the movie. And it's funny because it's something I didn't even think about when I was getting excited to rewatch it again. So you guys tagged me in, the promotion of this episode, and you used the score in the story. So I go to share it, I hear it, I was like, oh shit, like I forgot, like this is a banger, man. So as soon as I heard that, I started to get excited. And then all of a sudden, when I was reading like the last 30 pages of the book, I said, I'm gonna just see if this exists. I wasn't expecting to have music, but I googled Willow ambiance video, and it came up. I shared it with Tim. It came up, and it had like a lot of the score in there, and I was like, oh hell yeah, I can't wait to rewatch this movie. So it had to be a 5 for me, by the way. The score is perfection. Okay. Come on, I love it. I can't nitpick one thing about it. I love it. It's like the perfect adventure score. Like it screams adventure, just in the style and tone of it. So
it is leaps and bounds above any other sword and sorcery film from the 80s. it has much more in line with movies like The Goonies and Indiana Jones than it does anything else. And James Horner, he's not really a small time name when it comes to composing. So at the time, he composed shortly after Willow. I'm trying to look. He composed Cocoon.
Hey.
He composed Aliens.
Huh.
He composed to composed to what is that? He composed An American Tale. That was all before Willow. After Willow, he did The Land Before Time, Field of Dreams, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids,
Whoa.
Glory, The Rocketeer, Patriot Games. He's pretty prolific. It looks like, 1993, he did House of Cards, Jack the Bear, Swing Kids, The Far Off Place, Once Upon a Forest, Searching for Bobby Fischer, Man Without a Face,
On a forest? Hell yeah. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
The Pelican Brief, We're Back, A Dinosaur's Tale. Like, that was 1993. So he's done a ton. Legends of the Fall, Clear and Present Danger, Braveheart, Jumanji. Like, there's a reason the score is good.
Oh, Jumanji. Yeah, no wonder the score's banging.
Yes.
Anyway, I didn't realize he did that much.
He did Titanic.
Oh.
He did Titanic. He did, man, why am I thinking Avatar? I don't care for Avatar, but but he's got some chops. So there's a reason why this music really works. And the sound design was actually Ben Burtt, who worked on Star Wars. So it's a Lucasfilm project. You're going to have a lot of overlap on who works on it. But the death dogs and magic spells were used creating a mix of animal growls and synthesizers to create some unique sounds. And the death dogs look pretty cool. I do believe, Kelsi, in the book, aren't they described as bald?
I swear to you, I paid attention while reading the book very closely. You're like, I skimmed, and you're bringing up details that I don't remember. I'm like, I read this like this week. What is going on? I do not remember them being described as bald, but they were really, really scary sounding in the book. But they looked scary too. I think they did a great job with the design in the movie. So I think the Death Dogs translated well in both the book and the movie. I can't say that about every creature, though.
No, yeah. I agree. All right, so we don't have to spend a whole lot of time left on this category. Let's go ahead and drop your scores on it. Kelsi?
5.
I was a 4.
Jonathan? Did I freeze or did Jonathan?
Did you hear me, Tim? No? Can you hear me, Tim?
He said 4.
Oh, it's doing that thing again where I can't hear.
Damn technology.
I am a 4 as well. The Tiny Demon is a 4. Rally Reviews is a 1. And Alfred is a 2. And Travis is a 3, unless we've updated that in the chat. But
man, I just really like the score, I guess. Whatever.
Hey, it is a very good score, especially for this type of movie. Oh, yeah. So I'm with you there. All right. Then we move on to the editing and special effects. This is a fun one. Kelsi, you want to tell us what creature you didn't think looked very good?
I don't even remember his name. The double-headed dude. Also, wait, that freaking table that comes to life that Willow pushes out the window. Oh my god, it looks so bad.
That looks that's like a steampunk thing. I'm watching that and I'm like, this looks like mechanical steampunk element. Yeah. This is unique.
But yeah, the two-headed, I forgot what the beast is called, but it's funny. I think in the book, it was already laying in wait in the moat, whereas in the movie, it makes it seem like Willow accidentally conjured this creature. So that's kind of a huge difference between the two, where the creature came from, but I do not think the creature looks very good in the movie. I know that the effects were great for the time, but like looking back now, it's so hard not to feel that it's super dated, because you don't see a lot of, I mean, you do, but You don't feel
I
when
know
you're
what you're
watching.
saying.
Nothing else in the movie sticks out as dated. I feel except for that. I don't know.
Even the brownies look fantastic through most of the film. They did an excellent job getting the brownies in the scenes. I will say I wished modern movies would use some of this puppetry and the stop motion effects that were used for the dragon. I wish we used that with the modern ways of blending scenes together, because that creature looks real and looks tangible. It doesn't look CGI. You can just tell that it looks like it was cut out and put in the scene.
Yeah.
So if modern directors could find a way, use those same tricks and apply modern day technology to improve them, beautiful execution on those. But I actually thought the special effects held up really well. Jonathan, you want to see if I can hear you again?
Can you hear me now?
You can go ahead and talk. I can see your mouth move.
I
I don't know what is going on.
Well, I'm all about the special effects. I really appreciate, even though it's early green screen work, I think it turned out really well in the way that they matched the light tones for the scenes versus the overlays on that were really good. Especially with all the small parts where you see the brownies so tiny and minuscule against everything else, and how it all matched up really well. Even when they were syncing it up to when Willow and Migosh were tied down to the ground with their twine and shit, even the way they had that overlaid still worked out really, really well. So I can't be mad at that. The weird two-headed monster, yeah, you could tell a little more blatantly, especially when that scene where you've got the two-headed monster and then Mad Mardigan's on top of it. It's where it kind of shows out a little bit, but I can't really be mad about it. And I thought it was cool how they transformed a troll into a weird fleshy blob, and then it grows up out of the moat into this giant monster. I thought it was a cool creature transition, even though we only see it in stages and not in like a real-time transformation for the most part. And then just like we was talking about early on, and about the animal transformations from one animal to the next, and then from animal to human form. That was just fantastic. That was such a good thing for its time.
That was my
so
favorite
good.
effect. I mean, her going from I think it was a white tiger and to to human, I thought that was really well done. So I agree with you there about that. I'm not trying to be too nitpicky because for the time it's amazing, but I wish I watched it on VHS. I guess that's the thing, is because looking on it on my modern TV, I was just streaming it on Disney Plus. I'm like, man, I miss it on my VHS, on my tube TV.
Yeah, even
I picked up the 4K with Jonathan. Did you start talking?
Yeah, I was trying to say. I just wanted to say that also that one scene where you see the whole cadre of Nelwyns and that hype scene from watching from the valley floor to seeing them cross that log across the way, how they made that look pretty good. Even though you still tell a little bit that it was the green screen, but I still thought that looked really good the way they did that. And that's it, Tim.
He's done now, Tim.
I'm getting caught up. I'm getting caught up on the YouTube side because I can hear you through YouTube, but I can't hear you through this for some reason. But YouTube has a slight lag. I think my biggest problem is not the effects of the dragon. It's the fact that it looks like a chicken lizard. It is the ugliest, weirdest looking dragon I have ever seen. It makes no sense. It just looks stupid. But that's my biggest issue with it.
It does look stupid instead of. It kind of looks scary-ish, but I'm not a fan of the look either.
Yeah,
I think in the book it sounds scary.
I think it goes more. I wouldn't say it looks scary. I think it looks silly. I think it's funny looking. It is menacing. Like it literally rips that troll in half. Dragon shaming. Sorry, it's not a good looking dragon as far as fantasy adaptations go. The trolls are kind of cool. I do think the highlight of special effects in the film is the incorporation of the brownies. They look consistently pretty good. There's a couple scenes here or there, but using both the enlarged stages to film them on individual scenes and then incorporating them into the scenes with Mad Mardigan and Willow looks pretty good consistently. As far as the editing goes, we mentioned it's got the classic Lucasfilm swipes and fades and all of those. And it's part of the charm of Lucasfilm. Like they don't really appear anywhere else. And if they did, you would probably go, who edited this movie? Is it just like the first timer in Adobe software doing the like, yeah, sideswipe, let's do that. Like it doesn't work anywhere else outside of Lucasfilm, but they're the charm of Lucasfilm. My nitpick, my Tim pick, as our friend GC coined last year, Tim picks, on the editing, is they seem to teleport from one important destination to the next. The book spends quite a bit of time on the beginning journey, and I guess the movie does too with all of the Nelwyns. But it's just like, hey, we need to go find the island. We're at the island, and it just jumps, and it gives no real sense of time. Did this movie take place in a day, in a week, in a year? And it gives no real sense of space either. We don't have a real grasp of how far these kingdoms are from each other and what they traversed in the editing. And I do think for fantasy, that's super important. I know people who are like diehards about the maps in fantasies. They live for the maps. I have a Middle Earth map on the wall in my library. Old school fast travel. Willow invented the fast travel. One of the other scenes that I think is edited extremely poorly, I shouldn't say extremely poorly, is when they're with Madmartigan when he's in the cage, because it appears that they are there all day. Like from morning until night, if not overnight, while Madmartigan is in cage. Why? Why do we spend so long sitting in this one location with this guy in a cage? Move on. It's just one area that I'm like, tighten that up. It doesn't need to be that long. It makes it seem like they spend forever with a guy that they're scared of. So it's just one of those areas that I have to Tim pick a little. But I think the special effects, the 4K that I picked up at Christmas time, the special effects look great on it still. I prefer 1988 special effects to watching. I just watched Jurassic World Rebirth last night, and I'm like, that you can tell like they weren't seeing what was on screen. Like they weren't looking at it. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times this movie isn't the shining example of that, but a lot of times if you had a puppet in the film E.T., we're talking about E.T. in a couple weeks, like if you had that in screen, it feels tangible and real, and that's missing from a lot of modern CGI stuff. So I would prefer this old, slightly choppy special effects to everything being CGI. So
I actually agree with you there. Even though I was really nitpicky about how it looks today, I still would prefer it over modern. Like, I hate CGI for today. I hate it.
Yep. And I don't even think it's a charm thing. I wouldn't say like, oh, it's the charm of practical effects. It's not. I think they look better.
It's like the texture.
Yes, it is texture.
Yeah.
It's not smooth. It looks real. It looks like I can touch it because it was real and it was filmed. Even the use of miniatures. The use of miniatures is gone. And use miniatures again. Miniatures look so good.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and score these elements. So let me see. I lost my score. Jonathan, you can say, everyone else can hear you. I can't. 4.
He said 4.
Okay, he did say.
He did.
I saw him hold up the fingers. Okay, and then Kelsi.
I'm looking at my score, I was like, damn, I gave it a 2. I'm going to raise it to a 3. I feel like after we talked about it, and I even said that I prefer it over modern, and that is true. That is 100% true. I'm not just saying that. I'm going to raise it to a 3.
Okay. Travis gives it a 4. The Tiny Demon gives it a 4. Rally Reviews gives it a 3. Alfred gives it a 4. And I also give it a 4. I think the special effects are one of the strong points of the film for me. So that is a praise. So let's go from special effects to the script.
Oh, more Tim
I'll go
picking?
last, guys. You you go ahead. Jonathan, if you want to start, I'll go ahead and pull it up on YouTube so I can hear you.
The script, I thought it was decent. There's a lot of fun lines throughout the dialogue. I especially like when Mad Mardigan is picking on Willow when he's threatening to throw the acorn at him, just ribbing him. It's like, oh, see this acorn, I'll throw it at you, turn you to stone. Oh, I'm really scared. No, don't. There's a peck here with an acorn pointed at me. It's fun stuff like that. And like what we saw in the intro when Mad Mardigan and Sorsha are on the horse and they're talking about what he said and all the love he was spouting and how she just like ribs him and like tries to escape. There's so many little jib jab lines and fun bits of dialogue throughout this that you got to appreciate it. It can't really be. It's not like the most top notch of dialogue, but there's so much fun stuff in here.
I can hear you now in real time.
Noise
in real time. Yeah,
back on top, baby.
I have to get in here. The fun dialogue is not in the script. That was ad-libbed by Val Kilmer.
Really?
Yes.
Shit.
That is ad-libbed by Val Kilmer, which is still impressive. It's a plus. But yeah. Kelsi.
I gave this higher than I think I'm going to end up giving it. I'll save my score reveal till we go around. But thinking about it more, I do like some elements of the script, especially some dialogue that's not even in the book. Like, there's funnier parts with the brownies in the movie than in the book. The brownies are still comical in the book, but in the movie, there's that one part where he's like, bear! And then there's like, your mother was a lizard! I don't know, that's so freaking gold, and that's not in the book. So I just thought they were a little bit funnier in the movie. So like that added to the script, obviously, and those parts added to it for me. But there were some things I feel like that were left out, that were condensed when I'm really thinking about it, that, has to bring it down a little. I'm going to be like Tim and pick at it. Tim pick, Kelsi pick, whatever.
So,
Cal Vilmer, yes. That is never going to get old.
I mean, a part of me thinks the weakest part of this film is its script. I'm not going to lie to you. I think everything else is fine. If the script was better, the movie would be better. Period. I think it's not a result of the direction or anything. The writer hasn't done a ton. So it's written by Bob Dolman, who wrote comedies before this, TV sitcoms. WKRP in Cincinnati was actually a great show. SCTV, which I believe SCTV, is that the one that birthed John Candy? Yes, that was John Candy and a whole bunch of the Canadian SNL.
Yes.
Is what that was. It was John Candy, Eugene Levy, Catherine O'Hara, Rick Moranis, Martin Short, all came from that. But he was a writer for that, which is why you would think a lot of the comedy was him, but Val Kilmer is the one that I found funny, and he ad-libbed a bunch of stuff. So, where's my notes? There are a bunch of elements as we've gone over. I went into it in the story. I need that connective tissue, and I think the script fails to deliver a lot of that connective stuff. And there's other scenes that don't quite make sense to me. Like when Mad Mardigan is driving the carriage and they're being attacked, and Willow yells at him like, "I'm warning you." What? Why?
Warning is going to fall off?
You're warning him what? He's trying to get you away from the soldiers who are trying to kill you. What are you upset about right now? And that doesn't connect to me. There's that little stuff. Where's my other note? Moments like Fin Raziel, I already talked about her magic form, but there's a moment when Mad Mardigan is like, "What'd you look like?" And she goes, "Don't interrupt," and then immediately answers him. So we don't need, it's choose one, immediately answer him or don't have the don't interrupt. We don't need both. It clashes for me. And there are moments in the film, I hated the brownies in this.
Really?
Oh my gosh, they drove me crazy in the book. Yes, so when I say I'm skimming, if there were brownies talking, I was skimming that stuff. They drove me nuts in the book. I like them better in the movie. Ultimately, I feel like the brownies are C3PO and R2D2, but the robots have more personality. So that is that is my comment on the brownies. They're not my favorite part of this film at all. But there are moments in the movie, like when they are about to enter a tent and Mad Mardigan and Willow are outside of it, and the brownies say, "Let us do it." And neither Willow or Mad Mardigan acknowledge them whatsoever and go in. And it's just one of those things where you felt like they were filmed on two different sets because they didn't have that connection. So I think the script is where I have the most issues with this. I think the story has great potential, tons of fun, even though I said it's a little bit of a Star Wars knockoff. I think there's a lot in there. The world is fascinating. I want to read the sequel trilogy. I got on Pango and tried to track them down, and I can find the first two, but not the third. I want to read the trilogy that finishes this story. Apparently, it is much darker, and it is written by Chris Claremont, who, if you are a comic book fan, Chris Claremont is the one who made the X-Men #1 sellers. Like Chris Claremont wrote the X-Men in the 80s and 90s, and it is why his stuff is why it became legend and went to TV and all of that. Chris Claremont is a huge comic book important writer, but he wrote these movies based on more stories from George Lucas. So they're called the Shadow Trilogy, I believe. I want to find them and read them because I think it's fascinating. I think this world is fascinating. Ultimately, I think the biggest issues I have with the movie are found in the script. Just some weird little issues that things don't connect, don't add up, and I wish they did.
I can understand that. I just think I'm so lenient on the script, I guess, because I know they had to probably cut a lot out. They just couldn't make it any longer when it was already 2 hours. But why did they choose to include some things and not others? Like, that's a poor decision. So I always think my initial score is kind of lenient. So I think I'm gonna lower it.
All right, Jonathan, is that all?
Yeah, that's all I got to say for it. Yeah. So I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I was a 3.
All right, Jonathan, you are a 3. This is where I had to come down on the film. I'm a 2. Kelsi,
I was a 4 originally because I'm super lenient on all of my ratings for everything, books, movies. I always rate high, but I'm gonna come down from a 4 and make it a 3 because I do think that is fair and like my actual opinion.
Okay. The Tiny Demon was a 3. Rally Reviews was a 4. Alfred was a 3. And Travis from Nightclub was a 3 as well. So I think that covers all of us. Did you just put that comment up? I want to say Kelsi did make... Okay.
I think that's super true because when I was watching it last night, I'm like, I can't believe it's like flying by. It did not feel like 2 hours at all. And that surprised me because I didn't even, when I looked at the runtime, I was like, it's 2 hours? I would have never guessed that just because it never has felt that long to me anytime I've ever watched it in my life.
Hello, welcome.
Hi, Mike.
All right. So the other, now that I have to go back to it, yep, Mike has to get in on your running joke as well.
Oh, I'm sorry. I will stop.
The other thing, I don't know. Will that show on screen?
Yeah,
we got the fish in there. Yeah.
Oh shit.
It's the best part of the movie. I mean,
so let's talk about the scenes that got cut. It was filmed as well. There's evidence of the fish boy.
There is?
Yeah, there's a deleted scene of the fish boy. So Jonathan doesn't know this. In the book, when they go to Fin Raziel's island, it is protected by like a mer boy, fish boy type thing, who he initially is like, don't go there. Just turn around, leave, whatever.
He looks like kind of like a regular kid at first.
Yeah.
Like, who just comes out of the water. He's like, yo, turn back. But, like, I think he has red eyes or something, but...
He's kind of creepy in the book.
Yeah.
He is very creepy. In the deleted scene, he's just like a chill teenager, kind of.
No!
Yeah. But is it on the way back or on... before he gets there that the
it's on the way back that
yeah,
he basically almost, it makes it sound like Willow becomes unconscious, like he is dragged, he just by luck he kind of makes it out, and that's where the acorn comes into play, which is really cool. There's all, like, I love getting to see the actual acorn being used in a meaningful way. 1, 2, I like how they don't just go to the island and come back with nothing hindering them. This is supposed to be a cursed island. In the movie, you get no hint that there's any trouble getting there and getting back. So I love how in the book it is so different than that. It's like it's very much conveyed that it is a huge struggle for Willow to bring Raziel back from that island, and she's already telling her at this point, she's telling Willow, we got to get back, because at this point this creature has told and alerted Bavmorda that we're here, that this has been disturbed, like, we've got to get back right now. So it's like there's a lot more urgency and danger in the book in this part than in the movie.
Yes, I think so. The last time I saw this movie before we were doing all this was probably 2002, 2003. Like, it has been a long time, because I watched this when Lord of the Rings came out. That was the last time I watched it. And so reading the book, I've read the book before I rewatched the movie because I wanted to see if it would jog my memory. I remembered enough to try to keep it, but I didn't remember the island whatsoever. And that's because it's nothing in the movie. And in the book, the island is almost terrifying. It is an intense scene. It is very good. So I like that, but they cut that from the movie. Like we said, they cut the scene with Sorsha's father, which I think is that, and it's not a long scene.
It's pivotal. It's like literally like a line. And she's like, oh my God, like but I guess they didn't want to include it because then they'd have to maybe include this whole backstory of how Bavmorda didn't even like her husband, how she doesn't like the memory of him, how in the book there's a reference how she used to make Sorsha dye her hair so it wasn't red like her father's hair, the king. Mm-hmm. So, and then as Sorsha got old enough, she was like, it's my hair, leave it alone, I'm not going to dye it anymore. So basically in the book you get the gist that she has been poisoned against her father. There is really no big hint of that in the movie, so I guess that's their excuse why they didn't want to put the father swaying her, because there's no evidence of Sorsha being like poisoned against him or thinking any other thing about him other than, I don't know, maybe not knowing that he existed. I don't know.
So I do want to clarify for those in the chat, the book is a novelization of the script. So, but because it was 88, they were probably working on an earlier draft of the script. And so there are things, there's nothing majorly different, but there are a bunch of scenes, a bunch of backstory that didn't make the final film. There's minor tweaks to the script. Like, I think it was something about like hedgehogs. Like that's changed in the movie.
Yeah, I think they changed hedgehogs to, what did he say? They just changed the animal.
Yeah, they just changed the animal. And most of Mad Mardigan's lines are different because he ad-libbed them. So those are minor tweaks, but it does. And like you said, you thought Sorsha was kind of poisoned against her father.
Yeah.
I read it as she already had this resentment towards her mother early on. I was picking up like her mother made her change her hair and all these things. They're like, my mom's kind of a controlling bitch.
No, there was hints of that too. I think she had complicated relationships. I would say with both of them, but I think she didn't know her father enough. Because I think in the book they referenced she sees him in the ice, he whispers something, and then she remembered the good time she had with him, which clearly had tried, like that was her mom tried to erase that from her memory, that there was anything good. She probably just didn't speak of him. I'm probably putting my own spin on it, like, oh, she tried to turn him against the father, but I'm sure it might not have even been mentioned very much. But definitely think there's also some weird relationship between her and her mother too that's not even hinted at in the movie, really.
True. All right, we all gave our scores for script, didn't we?
3.
I believe so. Yeah, 3.
Yeah, I think we did. All right, so we can move on to the acting because I know we have mentioned quite a bit how Val Kilmer ad-libbed his lines. So Jonathan, you want to kick off acting?
I thought the acting was pretty good. I can't really complain too much, except for me, it was a little annoying, but like the naivete of some of the Nelwyn kind of put me off a little bit. But I mean, it just is what it is. If that's just how they are as characters, then it is what it is. But I just like it when they're camped out at the crossroads of Mad Mardigan, and just how too nice they are in this whole situation and believing, and the way Mad Mardigan manipulates them emotionally is kind of funny. But I just like that whole naivete. Just your hero's on a journey trying to do some shit.
In the book, the High Eldwin is like, give her to the first Daikini you see, and he's very emphatic about this. Like,
Yes.
So then in the book they start analyzing, well, this is the first Daikini we see. What if we come back and tell him we did not give her to the first Daikini we saw? So they like start to analyze, well, he is the first one, and that is what the High Aldwin said, so we should give her to him. So it's kind of explained away like that, but I totally understand what you mean, and I do agree.
Rad Cardigan is.
Rad Cardigan! Oh, I like that one even more.
That is good.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kelsi. Like that scene specifically, I had to watch multiple times because I'm like, why did they all just turn around and leave? But in the book, it helps explain that like they're following what the High Alwyn says. In the movie, I feel like that's kind of glossed over very.
And not only that, like the warrior, I keep forgetting his name because it's hard to pronounce, but the main warrior guy who we get the backstory in the book bonds more with Willow, bonds more with the child, and is more reluctant to leave and do what Burgle Cut, whatever the hell, whatever he wants. Oh, he'll leave. In the movie, he agrees right away, like, okay, bye, Willow. You coming, me, gosh? Come on.
Well, and I think
it's like, I want to just bailing, bro. Like, okay, very cool.
Yeah,
man.
Go ahead, Jonathan, and continue your thought. I want to find the description of Burgle Cut in the book.
Yeah, and Mikash is a bitch in the book. Like he stayed, but he definitely didn't want to stay with Willow.
Yes.
But then he only redeemed himself when they were with the fairies. He was like, I want to stay and help. And she's like, no, you must go. This is for Willow's ears only. So he was half a bitch in the book and half okay. He redeemed himself. But yeah, me gosh, get out of here. I don't know.
Old Vonkar, I think his name was.
Yeah, the warriors Vonkar.
So in the book, he describes Burgle-Cut as the stingiest, meanest moneylender in all of Nelwyn Valley. He was short even for a Nelwyn, which he's giant compared to them in the movie. When he wore any of his robes of office with pointed hats, he looked like a small pyramid. High living had turned his thick jowls warty, and years of greedy cunning had beaded his eyes so that, beside Betts the sow, he looked like a pig himself. A pig rearing up on his hind legs.
That part is accurate as hell.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, the book was not nice in the description.
No.
Yeah, dude was definitely a
Burgle-Cut.
goobag. That's for sure.
I hated it.
No. And that is one of the issues I had, is that he is really not Samwise Gamgee, not Burgle-Cut. Me gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Because no way would a faithful friend, when Willow's like, it's time for you to go home, I'm going to continue this journey, tell Kaya I love her, and he's like, okay, good luck, bye. Like, what? Like, no, I'm going with you. There's no like, I can't carry it, but I can carry you moment for these two. They don't have that bond.
Yeah, and Willow is like so upset about the idea of leaving the baby with Mad Mardigan. Everyone else has already left. And in the book, they do have more qualms about leaving, or most of them. But Migosh starts freaking harping at Willow's ass, being like, yo, when are we gonna decide? What are you gonna do? Come on, man. And that's why I started to hate Migosh, well, in the book especially.
Yeah.
Well, the movie just made it seem like, oh, wait, now that we've met Shalindria and you've been issued this major quest, I'm going to go back home and tell everybody what's going on so they know what's up. Peace, bitches. Just pieces out. Like, all right, cool, dude. Bye. Yeah, all
right. I do think as far as performances go, Val Kilmer steals the show. I think it has to be noted that... Why can't I think of? I can't think of his name right now. Guy who plays Willow. Why can't Warwick Davis. Yep, a total brain fart.
Oh, leprechaun.
Yeah. He was 17 during filming.
Wow.
Oh shit.
He was 17. If what I saw on the internet was true, he was 17 when filming this, which is impressive. He was told, like, directed to act older and how to act like a father of 2. But I also think that I have some minor issues with how he always just seems to be yelling at Madmartigan. Always just like, why are you doing this? Madmartigan, blah, blah, blah. And it gets annoying. It's not hugely problematic, but I'm also like, is this him, a 17-year-old trying to man up and be a father in the character? And it's coming across more as like he's trying to assert himself and he doesn't need to in that moment. Like even the Blackroot scene, just like, you never give a baby Blackroot. Like,
that's in the book though too. And in the book he's described in the very beginning, even with his own kids, as always worried, always anxious. So I feel like Warwick played it a little more angry than anxious, when I think the character at its heart is anxious and like worried all the time. However, I still think knowing that he was 17 actually makes me like his performance even more. I think also reading the book makes me like his performance even more, because I think I used to get annoyed at his yelling at Madmartigan when I would watch it previously, but after reading the book and immediately watching the movie, it didn't bother me like it used to, and I actually was more just absorbed about his scenes with the baby, and knowing that he was freaking 17 and he's freaking having those scenes with his own kids and the baby. And I will tell you something that stuck out: the ending of the movie always makes me cry when he reunites with his family. I mean, I love that.
It got me too. I'm always very clear on this show that I'm an emotional movie watcher, and this one gets me at the end every time. Even though, for those who have dropped in and just hear me apparently just crapping on this film, I said I love it, but that also means I've seen it more than other movies, so I gotta rag on it a little bit. But I already said Val Kilmer steals the show. I like him better than Han Solo, if in all honesty.
Me too.
I think he's funnier. There's a small body movement, like body language gesture that he does that I think is so... It embodies his character so beautifully when Willow finally thanks him. I think it's right before they go to the island. And Will says, Madmartigan, like yells at him again, and then goes, thank you. And Madmartigan just kind of turns and goes, and walks away. And I'm like, that little hand gesture, like, it's not real. It's kind of like, it's funny and it works with the character. And it's just like a little moment that Val Kilmer killed it on this character. I love it. And I think the fact that he ad-libbed a bunch of things shows he really tried to embody who this character was. I will say his line of, and I'm the king of Kashmir, took me out of it for a second, because I think of Kashmir as being a very 80s thing. And so I had to do some research on Kashmir because I'm not familiar with it, other than like in Seinfeld when they're like, oh, is that a Kashmir sweater? Like, I had to do some research on Kashmir. And apparently it is a very old thing from like the 1600s. So You
say Kashmir, I think Led Zeppelin. So I'm like, okay.
So I can let it go. But when I was watching it, I was like, That's a very 80s line. So, but yeah, I honestly I think Sorsha didn't have as much to work with on screen. I think she's good. I would have liked to see more from her, but she really doesn't get much until the end. General Kale is just a big bad. The biggest issues I have with any of the performance in this film are like the small characters. The mom at the beginning over delivers the crap out of her segment. Just too much.
Too much
Rein
love and
it,
warmth.
yeah, rein it in. No, when she's like yelling at Bavmorda, like she's going to kill you.
Oh, that. Oh, yeah, I couldn't remember.
It is too much. So there's little complaints about some of the side characters, but it doesn't. It that adds to some of this like nostalgic charm for the film. So, but the main performances I think are great. I think Bavmorda, who was that? She does. I think she does an excellent job, and she doesn't have a ton either, but she's one that I almost would like to see more villainy out of. Jean Marsh, like she's villainous on there, but like I want to see her melt a soldier for doing the wrong thing, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, she was in Alfred Hitchcock's Frenzy. That is a nuts movie. Return to Oz.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Return to Oz.
That's cool. I need to watch that.
It's creepy. Return to Oz is way creepier than The Wizard of Oz.
That's what I've heard. I haven't seen that one.
It's a good creepy kids movie.
She is mostly known for a lot of TV series from what I'm seeing. So she did Return to Oz right before this, but she was in like The Love Boat. She did an episode of Murder She Wrote. I love Murder She Wrote. Just a bunch of one episode stuff, but she's actually very good. She's very good. So acting, what's our scores there?
4.
5. I really love the acting. I have no complaints. 5 for me. Banger. I loved everything. I think the acting makes it. Like, I think a lot of your complaints, Tim, are more like script related.
I would agree.
You could say that they're acting related. I think it's more like Sorsha could have done more, but again, that wasn't the actor's fault. That was what she had, and you referenced that. But so I know it might seem high, but I'm sticking. It's 5.
Get it like you like it. That's all right.
Beautiful. Did I lose Jonathan again?
Did you, Tim? Yep. Did you lose me again on sound?
Oh, damn.
Son of a bitch.
He called you a son of a bitch.
I called you, man.
He said it with love.
Now I got you. So it is so weird if I go in and out of studio mode where I can like edit before you see it.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, it's weird. But like even I'll switch and then I'll lose you and then I switch to the other version and you're back and then it's bizarre.
Why? Evie Mucks, Mucky Muck? Come on.
So Jonathan, did you finish what you were saying?
4? Yeah.
Just 4. Okay. I'm actually a 4 too, because I do agree, like Kelsi, what you said. I think my issues are more with the script, and I think they did a good job with what they have. My only real complaint is you nailed it when you said Warwick Davis played him angry, and I definitely got more anxious from the character in the book. And so I think that is my biggest issue, is that.
His outrage of Mad Mardigan's methods for baby handling.
Hey, this time it was Kelsi that I lost, but I switched modes and got it back. Yeah, I'm a 4. Let me go through and read the others. Tiny Demon gave it a 3. Rally Reviews gave it a 2. Alfred gave it a 4. And then Travis gave it a 4 as well. So,
hot damn.
Direction. Ron Howard on the direction for this film.
Oh, Ronnie.
I mean, I think he did a great job for the time period that this was shot in. Like you guys mentioned, doing revolutionary things with effects and with a script that probably had to be pretty obviously chopped down. I think what he churned out was amazing, considering how much of a cultural impact it then had later. So I would say he did a pretty darn good job overall. Jonathan?
Yeah. Direction. Hey. I like the use of like the overhead shots and the landscaping or landscape itself. Yeah, the swipe transitions kind of meh. Wasn't really a fan of that, but the way they kept pace of the story, so that it, like you were saying, like it didn't feel like it was 2 hours long. The way they kept the pace between scenes on that, I think really helped it a lot. So that was cool.
I agree with Travis. Ron has made some banger films. So what we're talking about before this, he made Cocoon. He made that in '85. Cocoon's
That's a kick-ass movie.
great. Backdraft, Apollo 13. Most people I know love this film. I can't stand it, but How the Grinch Stole Christmas with Jim Carrey was a Ron Howard film.
I didn't know that was Ron Howard. What the hell?
A Beautiful Mind was Ron Howard. Cinderella Man. Da Vinci Code's not well known as his best film, but Frost/Nixon, if I can speak. I know a lot of people did not like it. I actually thought Solo, a Star Wars story, was pretty good.
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I
think Cinderella Man that you mentioned is underrated as hell. I think that's a great movie.
Yeah, I think
saw that one.
These are all great. And also he did Arrested Development, which is one of the most underrated sitcoms ever. So he's the narrator in Arrested Development.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, narrates. He's like the voice of Job, not Job. He's the narrator for Arrested Development. Great series, by the way. But yeah, I think he does a great job. And
people are upset you don't like the Grinch.
I know. I'm sorry. I really
stepping on toes, bro.
I really don't like when Jim Carrey overperforms.
You don't like Ace Ventura 2 when nature calls?
Oh my god, that movie was amazing.
I wanted to bid on that rhino. I wanted to bid on. Did you hear about the rhino going up for auction? I want that rhino. It should belong to me. Ever. I have reenacted that scene from Ace Ventura 2 so many times. It is a travesty that I cannot afford that rhino. Anyway, I love Ace Ventura overacting, so
should we just build you one? Build you a rhino butt so you can squeeze out of it?
I'm so sorry. I have been very clear. I'm not a big comedy fan. I don't love comedy. It takes a really weird, unique movie for me to love comedy.
Give me the comedy. I'm all for it.
But the fact that I said I don't like when Jim Carrey overperforms and you immediately went to Ace Ventura, I was like, yes, yes, I can't.
Yeah, the thing you hate, I love. Like, that is my jam. Yep. Like when he's literally like coming out. I can reenact it right now. It's my favorite thing. My mom used to be like, you're acting this way because you watch Ace Ventura too much. Like, she would always think anytime I was being like weird or over the top, it was because of Ace Ventura. I was like, probably, but you know, it's just a great movie. Whatever.
I love seeing all the internet talk about him being replaced with a clone recently.
I know, what the hell? It's so crazy. Some dude's taking credit for wearing a mask.
It doesn't look like him.
No.
Some makeup artist is claiming that they were Jim Carrey in the mask.
What the?
Yeah, like they had an actual like Jim Carrey, like realist Jim Carrey face mask, and they claim that they were the one wearing the mask at the award, and that wasn't really Jim Carrey.
It's crazy.
It sounds like bullshit.
That's scary if that's true.
That is nuts. And to clarify for those of you in the chat, I think Jim Carrey is a great actor. I think he's actually, and when he's dramatic and serious, amazing.
So you like Eternal Sunshine, like everybody else.
The number 23.
Well, that one's a great movie too. Yeah, I like that movie.
That's a great film. But anyways, like it is when he overperforms that I have the issues. It's when he's over the top. But anyways, we're talking Ron Howard's direction, and he shot this movie in New Zealand 10 years before Peter Jackson would take his Lord of the Rings group over to New Zealand and film.
Wow.
Because I think he saw the beauty of New Zealand and it looks like a fantasy world. He did a great job. You can tell they shot on location for so much stuff and it looks excellent. The 4K, I know I'm jumping on this again. The 4K version looks beautiful. It is excellent. It looks so good. Even I thought the special effects held up pretty well. Normally, when you upscale a movie like that, the special effects look worse. It didn't. I thought it looked good. But I do. Yeah, getting back on topic. The I'm impressed with the direction. I think he framed his shots well. I think it's well constructed. It's a good looking movie. It is. We're going to be talking about Krull in 2 weeks. Krull. Krull. That's a fun movie. And then we're going to be talking about He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. And both of those is thanks, Travis. I think neither one of those look as good as this movie. They're fun. They're great movies, but I don't think they look as good as this one. I think this one looks far and away better than them. So I think Ron Howard did an excellent job with the direction. Is that all we have for the direction?
I suppose so. But I gotta say though, like when you mentioned Krull though, the music in Krull kind of makes me think of like the movie, the music here in Willow. There's like some similar orchestrations with the high notes and the horns that just really punch it up. So I'm excited for us coming up on Krull.
I like this 1,000 times more than Legend. That's just me, though.
Oh,
I mean, the Legend effects are great. Like Tim Curry. I mean, you can't beat Tim Curry, but
I have never seen.
Say like, holy shit! What? You have not seen Legend, bro?
I just think this is culturally more impactful than Legend. I don't know.
It's unacceptable that you haven't seen Legend. I'm sorry, but that's something.
Yeah, you got to see it so you can talk about it.
I know you could Tim pick and talk shit the fuck out of that. Watch the movie, please. Watch that.
Also, my favorite thing to come out of Ron Howard's Grinch movie is Taylor Momsen becoming the front woman of the Pretty Reckless.
Isn't that badass though? That is just too cool.
She's Cindy Lou Who, and then she turns out to be in a metal band in her 20s.
That's
amazing. Too
awesome.
Well, I guess maybe she's in her 30s now. I don't know. But anyways, I score it. Let's give the scores.
4.
4 here.
4.
I think this is the first time we're all in agreement. And actually, every single person who submitted their review gave it a 4 as well. So
nice.
Everybody thinks
okay.
So let's go into the it factor on the film. So the it factor is the cultural relevancy of this film. How is it received? Then how is it received now?
I think then it was a pretty big deal. I think it was pretty culturally relevant. I don't know how many other fantasy-leaning movies got that popular to the level that Willow did. You guys already mentioned the big impacts and effects and the way it was shot. So I think... I know that I went to my cousin's house. She doesn't remember this, but I was jealous because she had a freaking Willow bowl or cup or something, and I was like, I want that freaking cup. And I remember even just as a kid being jealous of that. So to me, when you're a kid lusting after some kind of merchandise for the movie, I think it's done its job culturally. I don't know. That's at least just me.
That's fair. Yeah. For me, I'd say it's a mainstay in 80s fantasy films. It is so popular. Even now, even some of the younger generations are familiar with what Willow is. Maybe not as much as I'd like to see, but it's a film that's really well known even from then to now. And there's always so many good things that people are going to have to say about it. And then, how that kind of inspires other fantasy films after the fact. I think it's great. So I think it's really good.
So, well, where are my notes? Sorry. It was the first major fantasy film. Like I said, it attempted the Star Wars formula in fantasy, but it underperformed their expectations. The trilogy of books that tells the rest of the story was originally planned to be movies. There were supposed to be more movies. And while the movie made a profit pretty significantly, I think it was close to like 100 million in profit, it wasn't enough for Lucasfilm, that was writing off of Star Wars and Indiana Jones, for them to justify more movies. It bridged the gap for sure between 80s fantasies like The Dark Crystal and Dragon Slayer into more Lord of the Rings epic style films, and I think it works really well. And I just trying to figure out how to say it. I knew nothing about this movie until Lord of the Rings came out. And then there was a little bit of a resurgence. And I think they timed the DVD release to this around the time that Lord of the Rings, because I remember my first copy of Fellowship of the Ring was VHS. And then by the time Two Towers came out, it was DVD. So I think Willow timed their release of the DVD version of the film to coincide with Lord of the Rings. And that put the movie on my radar. And I remember watching it with buddies. Even then, I would have been like 11 or 12. So I remember watching it at that time, but I hadn't heard of it before. I didn't know about it at all. And I grew up on Star Wars. So when I was like, George Lucas made a fantasy movie? Yes! I was so excited.
That is surprising to me.
Yeah, there were a lot of things I didn't know about in my house. Because my mom and I are very similar personalities and interests. And growing up, I always watched Star Wars and I thought it was my dad that liked it. And then I find out that no, mom is a Star Wars fan. Mom, one of my earliest memories is mom reading The Hobbit to me. Like she raised me on all that. And it honestly wasn't until I was in college that I was like, oh, it was mom that liked all those things, not dad. And so this is one, she doesn't like when things get too dark. And this one got pretty dark at the end. She wasn't a big fan of it, so she didn't really introduce us to this one. So I found those things out later. I like when things get dark. I think the darker it is, the more I can appreciate when things are good. And on vice versa, like I was talking about, Kelsi mentioned she caught our Bring Her Back review. I mentioned when you have light scenes and brightness and happiness in a dark story, it makes it more effective than just being brooding all the time. So this movie, anyways, long way to get around that. I'm just surprised that I knew very little about this movie until 2012, really. So that does affect my it factor just a little bit, but it was pretty successful. I wish it had been more successful so we could have gotten Willow 2. I wish. But you guys want to go ahead? Let's score it.
I'm going to give the it factor a 4 out of 5 because for me growing up, it was a big thing. It was a big thing in my house. I probably saw it for the first time at 7 or 8. But my parents were into dark stuff. They're like, oh, you want to be traumatized? Cool. Let's buy Watership Down on VHS, which is not a kid's movie.
That one I knew about.
You did, but you didn't know about Willow?
No.
That is a conundrum. I don't understand that. Ask your mom why'd she let you watch Watership Down.
I was a kid. I don't get it.
Anyway, for me, there's a lot of nostalgia to it, so I think that affects my score. But I do think there's cultural impact to go along with it, so I feel the 4 is a good score for me. So justified for me.
And Jonathan, you held up your fingers.
I'm a 3. Yep.
You're a 3. I am where did I put it? I'm a 3 as well. Travis from the nightclub says it is a 5. Alfred gave it a 3. Reality Reviews gave it a 2. And the Tiny Demon also gave it a 4. So here is our final category where we give our overall how much we enjoyed this thing and our final thoughts about the film, and then I'll get everybody's final scores together and tallied up, and we can see what this average lands at. So, Kelsi, since you're a guest, do you want to give us your final, how entertained were you out of 10, and your final thoughts on the movie?
I was very entertained out of 10. It's a movie I love. I've watched it many, many times throughout my entire life. The last time I rewatched it wasn't even that long ago. It was like 2 or 3 years ago. I did it as a watch party for one of my events, and we all were like, Willow! It's part of my reference lexicon in my live streams. It's a 9 out of 10 for me. I'm very entertained by it. To me, a 9 out of 10 equates to a 4.5 out of 5, which means it's a favorite of mine, but it is not the top tier. So it's not perfect. I recognize that. That's why it is a 9 out of 10 and out of 10 out of 10, but it is still considered a favorite of mine. So 9 out of 10.
Nice.
Perfect, Jonathan.
For me, you know, I grew up in the 80s as a kid, and this is one of my top 80s films for fantasy. I will always love this film. For me, it's a straight up 9 all day, always.
So I'm just looking at our results here, and Kelsi, I think it's you said 9 out of 10 is about 4.5. Based on our scoring system, we got close to that. It was a 41.5, which would be a 4 out of 5. So okay. we got close to that, yeah. But I always like seeing how it plays out on these. I'm going to read some of our other people who submitted their thoughts, and then I'll get to mine. So the Tiny Demon gave it a 10 out of 10 on how entertained were they. This is their quote, I can't separate the actual quality of this movie from the feelings I have for it. The fact that it was the first live action film I saw in theater at 4 years old, and how my mother told me that I was the baby who played Alora. What? As a baby, I was just too young to remember it, of course. And that for a good while, I actually believed her. Sure, Mad Mardigan is the fun, charming hero, and Val Kilmer is great. But as a little person myself, I was completely taken with the Nelwyns and their community, and dreamed of one day having adventures with Willow Ufgood. I'm going to cry. Warwick Davis doesn't get enough credit for how great he was in this part, and how much emotional depth and maturity he brought to it before he was even 20 years old. Yeah, that's beautiful.
I love that. I love that so much. I love it so much. I'm
tearing up right now. Wow. Okay. I thought the movie felt dated. This is from Rally Reviews. They gave it a 7 out of 10. And they say, I thought the movie felt dated and you could see it had old effects. However, it was still very entertaining. It was sweet and heartfelt, with the main character, the baby, the talking animals, the village, and a love story. It was also evil and gory with special effects and grit. The music and some of the scenes made me a little sleepy, but the environment, settings, and the rest was gorgeous and stood the test of time. I was entertained and enjoyed it. The beginning reminded me of the story of Moses, but then it got, yes, me too. And then it got into more fantasy. I love the fantasy elements in it. Good movie, very nostalgic. This is, all I have is the email for this person. Alfred is in the email, so I have no idea if that's their name or not. Alfred scored it a 7 out of 10 and said, overall, Willow is a heartwarming and enjoyable film. There are so many other great fantasy tales that this film emulates, the strongest comparison being Lord of the Rings. Like Frodo, Willow goes on a great quest to rid the world of an evil that threatens to dominate everything. He returns a changed man who is more confident and capable of his abilities as a nurturer and a protector. Or Luke Skywalker. Another film that comes to mind while viewing Willow is Jason and the Argonauts. This is specifically in reference to the special effects used during the battle sequence against the double-headed dragon. Good. That's a
great comparison.
Yes, the stop motion reminded me so much of the same technique used in Jason and the Argonauts or Clash of Titans. That's excellent. In closing, Warwick Davis is the heart and soul of this film and really shines on screen. Willow is a solid entry point for anyone looking to get started in the fantasy genre. I agree. And then I'll read Travis's here. He gave it a 9 out of 10. Says, Willow is one of the 80s childhood fantasy films that has always been a blast to watch. And then we're on mine. That's a lot of reading. Okay. I gave it an 8 out of 10. Like I said, I love this movie. I really do. And I know it sounds like I was just shitting on it the whole time.
No.
But those are the reasons why it's not a 10 out of 10 for me. Like, this movie is so good. I wish it was that much better to be held in the same regard as Lord of the Rings. I think Lord of the Rings are like the best movies ever made. And I think it's the greatest story ever told. But this is like, man, you close those gaps for me. You make some of those connections, and I'm right there. I think it's great. It's an 8 out of 10. I watched this 3 times in preparation for this. I never do that. I read the book in preparation of this. Finished the book sitting poolside, and I watched the movie on my iPad on a ship sailing back to Florida. So I watched it all there, and I do enjoy this movie. I'm not going to turn it on again immediately after, because the ending, I think, drags a little bit, is slow. I don't hate it though. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Our final scores, Jonathan, Kelsi, I added yours up for you since you changed some things. Jonathan, you have yours?
Yeah, I was a total of 40.
Let me get my calculator out. Okay, we have The Tiny Demon was at a 39 out of 40. Rally Reviews was a 28 or out of 50, sorry. And Alfred was a 33. Kelsi, you were a 41.5, as I said earlier. Jonathan, you said 40. I was a 36, and Travis was a 40. So, how many people is that? That's 7. That brings us to, wow, we had quite an array over there, and that brings us to a 36.78. We would round that to a 7. So 37, which would be a 3.5 stars out of 5 for our total average on the app. So 3.5 out of 5. That's where we land.
There's a lot of diverse ratings in there, so like that kind of makes sense to me.
Yes, and that's what we try to say. We say it all. Well, we try to say it frequently on the show. Is that we're here to celebrate how everyone sees movies differently. So there's quite a few different opinions in here. But Kelsi, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you guys for having me. I had a blast. Thanks for letting me talk about rhinos' asses, Willow, brownies being like bear. I had a great time. And I know I talked really a lot and I kept adding more in, but I don't often get to talk movies in this much depth. So truly it is a joy and a pleasure. So thank you for asking me. And in case you're wondering, I gave the book a 4.5 out of 5. It's actually in the upper tier of the books I've read this year. I've only read 15 so far, but this one, I've only rated a few 4.5 and 5. So this one's one of the ones that is higher up there. I just loved it. There were some great descriptions, especially near the end where we don't get in the movie. I think Kale is going in and he's like, raise the drawbridge, even though some of his soldiers are behind him. So he F's them over. They get stuck on the outside of the castle. They're trying to get in, but the drawbridge is going up and they fall into the moat and like dissolve. And it's described in the book and it's badass. Yeah, it's great.
That I totally forgot to mention. I love Mad Mardigan's scene of like defending the castle by himself in the movie.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah.
It's so cool. It shows some of his ingenuity in there. I enjoy that a lot. And definitely I agree. I read the book too. Things Kelsi remembered, I didn't remember. Things I remembered, Kelsi didn't remember.
I know. Do we read different books? I don't know.
I just think I'm very bad at I get general overviews a lot more. I can't think straight, but I'm terrible with characters. And the one thing that killed me in this book was keeping track of all the Nelwyn names and the brownie names in the book. I was like, who are these? Who's Frangine? I don't care who Frangine is.
Frangine is that freaking awesome brownie. I love Frangine.
Yeah, it's nuts in there. But let's go ahead and we shall wrap this up. Jonathan, I'll put the outro in the script.
Yep, I see it there. So
perfect. I hope I didn't edit this, so hopefully it's all correct.
We'll make it work.
Guess we'll find out.
Yep.
All right, so there it is, folks. The magic of the Daikinis meets the grounded reality of our scorecard. Looking at these numbers, it's clear that while the logic gaps and those divisive brownies took a hit, the it factor of Willow is still incredibly strong nearly 40 years later.
It really is, whether it's the practical effects that pave the way for some of modern cinema's movies like Jurassic Park, or just the sheer charisma of Val Kilmer. I gotta say Val Kilmer. This movie holds a special place in the social setting of our lives. It's not a perfect film, but it's a perfect conversation, especially when you dig into the novelization and see the massive world that George Lucas was really trying to build.
So, speaking of great conversations, we couldn't have kicked off this Sword and Sorcery series with anyone better. Kelsi, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It was awesome finally having you on in the booth to bridge the gap between the film and the lore.
Thank you guys so much. Again, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you want to tell people what you have coming up next? I saw you post to your story. You got some fun stuff coming up.
Plug it.
Yeah, I've got if you guys like nostalgia, and to me Willow screams nostalgia, I have an event that I'm running in April, and it sounds, to those who are not familiar with online events, a lot of readers are. They're called readathons. I decided to make something similar, but to encompass movie watching, activities, crafts, everything you could want to do in an activity, an online event that you could join in on. It's basically like everything I wanted growing up, making up a community of like-minded peeps who love nostalgia. So I run an event called Old School April, and it's a watch-a-thon, you could call it, a read-a-thon, an activity-a-thon, a nostalgia-a-thon overall, where we give you prompts, activity reading, watching prompts, and you choose what you want to do or what you don't want to do. You join in with a community. We have a Discord. We do watch parties. A couple of years ago, I played Willow for a watch party for Old School April. It's free, open to everybody. It's a great, safe community. I really implore you guys to please check it out. Go to my channel, Kelsi's Nostalgic Life, and the announcement video with more information and documents in the description of that video is up on my channel right now.
Yeah.
Everyone, definitely, most of you are here for Kelsi, but if you're not, go follow Kelsi's Nostalgic Life. We love her. We love her over at the Dread Broadcast as well. So thank you so much for finally coming out on ours to review a movie. And I love that we got to talk about the book as well.
Me too. Thank you guys again.
You're welcome so much. And also a huge thank you to everyone who participated in the chat tonight, as well as sharing their scores. Your comments on the Fishboy debate and the General Kill versus Darth Vader comparisons were top tier. Your voices are what helps make this the final average.
In 2 weeks, the quest continues. We are staying in the realm of high adventure, but things are about to get a lot more interdimensional.
That's right. In 2 weeks, we're continuing our Sword and Sorcery series with a cult classic that features a glaive, a cyclops, and some of the wildest production design of the 80s. We are reviewing Krull. Oh.
Get ready to discuss the Black Fortress and whether the glaive is the coolest weapon in cinema history. Make sure you head to the link in our bio to grab the scorecard for Krull early, and we'll see you right back here in 2 weeks.
I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Tim. This has been The Average.
Because at the end of the day, the real review happens with your friends. Good night, everybody.